Alright, hey everyone. In this video we're going to learn about adding and subtracting decimals. This is a super useful skill when we're working with money, measurements, or any other situation where you have to deal with decimal numbers. Let's get started. So guys, let's go ahead and look at 5.3k. Whenever you see 5.3k, you're going to be adding or subtracting decimals. Additionally, it may also be adding and subtracting fractions, but in this case we're just going to be looking at decimals. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alright guys, we're going to be looking at these two numbers. 6 and 275 thousandths plus 4 and 35 hundredths. Alright, so when you're adding and subtracting decimals, in this case we're adding, the most important thing to remember is to line up the decimal points. So notice there's two decimals here, one here and then one here on this number. Make sure you line those up. This ensures that the digits are in the right place values, like the ones with the ones, the tens with the tenths, and so on. So let's go ahead and do that now. So in your paper, go ahead and write this down, and then we will come back. Alright guys, we're back. So let's go ahead and look at this. Notice how I lined up the decimals. Okay, they're right directly under each other. This will ensure that my ones are with the ones, the tenths are with the tenths, hundreds are with the hundreds. Now look at this right here. I put a 0 here. Now notice that the 0 at the end of the 4 and 35 hundredths, this is just to keep everything in line and makes my addition a little bit easier. Alright, it doesn't confuse me. So I know that 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 7 is... Alright guys, so 5 plus 7 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you put your 2 down here. Oops, sorry. 2. And then you bring your 1. So 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 1 is 6. Make sure you have your decimal lined up. And then 6 plus 4 is 10. So your answer is going to be 10 and 625 thousandths. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at another example. Alright guys, now we're working with a different example. So in this case, now we're looking at 37 and 65 hundredths minus 9 and 1 hundredths, or 1/10. Alright, it has a 0 out there. So let's go ahead, now because we're subtracting, again, the same rules apply. Make sure that we are lining up our decimals. So let's do that on our paper, and then we'll be right back. Alright guys, so now I've written my number here. I've lined up the decimals. Remember, the ones with the ones, tenths with the tenths, hundreds with the hundreds. I didn't put a 0 here. I could if I wanted to. It wouldn't change my answer. I just left it blank because it's on the left side. To me, it's a little bit easier, kind of just to leave it blank. Alright, so let's go ahead and look. 0 minus 5 is 5. And then you have that 1 minus 6. It also gives you 5. Bring down the decimal. And then you do 9 minus 7, which you can do. So you're going to have to go over and borrow. You do a 2. That's 17. So now you have a 8 here. Remember? And then just bring down your 2. So your answer should be 28 and 55 hundredths. So the biggest rule here, guys, is to make sure that you're lining up your decimals. Alright, most common mistake is to not line them up, and it gives you the wrong answer. So now let's go ahead and look at a star formatted question using this same teak. Alright guys, let's look at this star formatted question. Again, we are looking at the 5, oh sorry, let me get the pixel function, 5.3k, which standard, which is just adding and subtracting decimals and fractions. In this case, we're looking at decimals. So let's go ahead and look at this. The length of a large piece of paper was 91 and 44 hundredths centimeters from top to bottom. Okay. Yep, it's right here. Oops. Let's go ahead and move that. Let me click that. All right. Yep, right there. The diagram shows the length of the paper, or the length of 2 strips of paper Patricia cut from the large piece of paper. Yes, it does. The dotted line right here, and then there's another dotted line over here. So this must be the 2 pieces that she cut. What's the question though? The question says, what is the length in centimeters of the remaining part of the large piece of paper from top to bottom? So because we are cutting this up and we're separating it, this means that we are subtracting. Okay, so we could either do this one of two ways. We can add these two numbers together and subtract it from this, or we can just subtract each piece individually. So we'll go ahead and just, I'll write the number here, 91 and 44 hundredths. And then we're going to subtract, and I'm going to go ahead and just subtract individually. So I'll go ahead and do, I'll put my decimal first just to help me out. Do a 5, a 2, and then my 4/10. So 25 and 4/10. Yep, that's exactly what I have here. Again, I can add a 0. And then I'll do 4 minus 0, that's a 4. I know 4 minus 4 is 0. Do a decimal here. Oh, I can't take away 5 from 1, so I'm going to borrow. This turns into an 11. This is 5 minus 11. This is 6. And then I have 2 minus 8 is also 6. All right. Now, I'm not finished yet, okay, and I got to keep going. I have to subtract this other piece, so I'll go ahead and just cross this out because I did that already. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my decimal point again and do 15 and then do 24. Now I'm going to subtract this. And then I know 4 minus 4 is 0. And then 2 minus 0, ooh, I can't do that. So go ahead and borrow this way. That turns into a 10. This is an 8. And I don't know, I kind of just instinctively did my decimal point there. I like to always just make sure they're all lined up. Look at that. And then do 5 minus 5 is also 0. And then 5 minus 6 is 5. Now, remember, you have to put your units, so 50 and 80 hundredths or 8/10 is centimeters. So that is what's left. This right here would be 50 and 80 centimeters. Okay, this part in here. Okay, now, what are my answers? Oh, look at this. I know this isn't it. I know 61 and 2/10 isn't it. I know that 40 and 64 hundredths isn't it. Well, 50 and 8/10. I have 50 and 80 hundredths. Yep, it's the exact same thing. It just has a 0 at the end. So my answer is D. Alright, guys. Let's go ahead and keep practicing.